Hi everyone! For today's lesson, we'll be learning about multiplication and division. Let's take a look at our question. In the car park, there were 30 cars and motorcycles. There were a total of 104 wheels. How many motorcycles were there? For this question, we will use guess and check followed by the assumption method. For guess and check, we will need a table. We will need a table with 5 columns. In the first column, we will write number of cars. In the second column, we will write number of wheels. These will be the wheels for the cars. In the third column, we will write number of motorcycles and in the fourth column we will write number of wheels. These will be the wheels for the motorcycles. In the last column we will write total wheels. There were altogether 30 cars and motorcycles. We will first assume that all 30 were cars. A car has 4 wheels, so if there were 30 cars, there would be 30 times 4, which is 120 wheels. If all 30 were cars, there would be 0 motorcycles, and hence 0 wheels for the motorcycles. The total number of wheels would be 120 plus 0, which gives us 120. We will now assume 1 less for the number of cars. 1 less than 30 is 29. 29 times 4 is 116. So if there were 29 cars, there would be 116 wheels from the cars. If there were 29 cars, there would be 1 motorcycle. A motorcycle has 2 wheels, so the number of wheels would be 2. The total number of wheels would be 116 plus 2, which gives us 118. For the next row, we will again assume 1 less for the number of cars. 1 less than 29 is 28. 28 times 4 is 112. So if there were 28 cars, there would be 112 wheels from the cars. If there were 28 cars, there would be 2 motorcycles. 2 times 2 is 4, so if there were 2 motorcycles, the number of wheels from the motorcycles would be 4. The total number of wheels would be 112 plus 4, which gives us 116. If we proceed with guess and check, we will eventually find the total number of wheels to be 104. We will have a total of 104 wheels with a certain number of cars, a certain number of wheels from the cars, a certain number of motorcycles, and a certain number of wheels from the motorcycles. But we will not proceed with guess and check for this question. Instead, we will use the assumption method. The first step in the assumption method is to assume that all were cars, in which case the number of wheels would be 30, which is the number of cars, times 4, because a car has 4 wheels, and this will give us 120 wheels in total. This is if we assume that all were cars. In this question, we know the actual number of wheels to be 104. When we take 120 and subtract 104, we will get 16. this is the difference between the assumed and actual number of wheels. Looking back at the guess and check table, every time we assume one less car and one more motorcycle, the total number of wheels will be 2 less. This is because every time we assume one less car, the number of wheels from the cars would be 4 less, and when we assume one more motorcycle, the number of wheels from the motorcycles would be 2 more. Hence, the difference in the total number of wheels would be 2 each time, because the difference in number of wheels between a car and a motorcycle is 4 wheels belonging to a car minus 2 wheels belonging to a motorcycle. This will give us 2. This is the difference in number of wheels between a car and a motorcycle. Eventually, the difference will be 16, as we have found earlier. If the difference is 2 each time, how many times will we have to assume one less car and one more motorcycle before the difference is 16? To do this, we can take 16 and divide it by 2, and this will give us 8. And when this has happened 8 times, we will have assumed one more motorcycle 8 times as well. Because we started with 0 motorcycles, when we have assumed one more motorcycle for 8 times, the number of motorcycles will be 8. So there were 30 cars and motorcycles with a total of 104 wheels. Through the guess and check method and the assumption method, we have found the number of motorcycles to be 8. And so we have found our answer. There were 8 motorcycles.